Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show, The Total You. I'm your hostess, Evangelist Maurice Wallace. We're coming under the direction of Abundant Faith Cathedral, where the bishop is the pastor, Joel T. Wallace. Welcome you all to The Total You. Amen. This is a program about the mind, body, soul, and spirit being on one accord. And I have a guest today that is really, really interesting. And I think maybe she's going to give us so much information that we really don't really access enough, but it's important to us. And I want you to be on point with this, all right? So please tune your ears in. And before we start, before I introduce my speaker, I want to go for this. A lot of people say, well, this topic is about insurance. So what does insurance have to do with a person being a total you? And I went for Proverbs 1:3-8, and it reads, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. Which means when you get somebody who's got more knowledge than you in a certain area, it's a good thing to turn your ears to hear what they're saying. And we're going to turn our ears to hear this young lady. And please introduce yourself today.
Hi, my name is Jo Robin Davis. I've been an attorney for over 40 years, and I practice first-party property insurance cases or law. And what that means is if you have a fire, a water loss, a windstorm, and you make a claim to your insurance company, and your insurance company has questions during its investigation or, God forbid, denies your claim for the wrong reason, I represent the insureds or the policyholders in trying to get justice for the policyholder from an insurance company that may or may not be interested in anything other than the bottom line, their bottom line.
And a lot of people may not even have insurance. And a lot of people don't think that they really need insurance until what? They come against a situation where
renters, a lot of renters don't have insurance, and renters insurance is really inexpensive, and it covers the contents, your things that are contained within your home. And believe it or not, it adds up to a lot. And if you have $50,000 worth of coverage, the premiums are minimal. And if there's a fire, whether or not, an accidental direct physical loss, which is a fire, or there's a water loss, under certain circumstances, you need insurance to be made whole for your loss.
And a lot of people, like I said, don't even think about insurance until they've got this loss. And it's like, I could have had this. And you said it was inexpensive. So I'm not going to say you can have to search, but there are a lot of things that we don't know about insurance on properties that we maybe need to.
There's a lot of things about insurance. And people get caught up in situations where if they had, just done a little bit of research on Google, you would have found out that you need insurance under certain circumstances. I don't love insurance companies, but in fact, I've been suing them and representing people in claims against insurance companies for years. But there is a reason to have insurance, and if you have a loss and you have insurance, generally, it's accidental and it's not excluded, and you cooperate and comply with all the conditions, which is something I can talk about, then you get reimbursed and are indemnified for your loss.
Okay, so I get my money back, in other words.
Oh, I think it's well worth it to have insurance. First of all, in Michigan, you're required to have certain amounts of auto insurance. And I don't practice auto insurance. I know a little bit about it because, as I said, I've been practicing law for way too long, over 40 years. But homeowners insurance is not required. Renters insurance may be required by your landlord. And there are different types that you really need to be made aware of. People often rely on their agents, but you have to understand an agent for State Farm, an agent for Allstate are captive agents, and they are representing the insurance company. They are not your agent. And that's a
Okay.
mistake people make all the time because you think a State Farm agent is yours, and they're not. Certain companies are represented through independent agents, and independent agents represent you.
Oh, so it's better to go with an independent insurance agent rather than with like these big box insurance companies.
Well, it is because the agent will be looking out for your interests more.
Okay.
Not greatly. The Michigan law isn't great on it, and I'm hoping it will change. But Michigan law is interesting. You are required when you get a policy of insurance, you are presumed to have read it. Now, who reads their insurance
Okay.
policy?
Okay.
Nobody.
Okay.
So you have to check carefully for the type of coverage you want. There's replacement cost coverage, which
Okay.
really isn't replacement cost coverage.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's interesting. Again, say I insure my home for $100,000
Okay.
replacement cost coverage, but my home's an old home. So if it's destroyed by an accidental fire, the insurance company may say, well, the actual cash value or the depreciated value of your dwelling is $50,000. And you say, well, I have replacement cost coverage and I need to replace my home, and I certainly can't do that for $50,000. Under these policies, you get the actual cash value, and then you have a certain period of time within which to spend the $100,000 or the extra
Oh,
$50,000.
wait, this one just went right over my head.
Yeah, you get reimbursed.
Okay. So they tell you how much your house is valued at.
Right.
They only give you that amount.
No, they give you less. They give you the depreciated value until you repair or replace, and then you get your policy limits.
So the money that I'm repairing my house with is actually coming from my pocket.
Well, it's coming from the $50,000 actual cash value payment that they give you.
Okay.
And then you can work with contractors, often realize that they're going to be getting the money back. There are people you can work with work with insurance companies who know that ultimately if they spend the money. So sometimes you can avoid using your own money.
Okay.
But a replacement cost coverage is still the best policy, or a guaranteed replacement cost coverage, but that costs more.
I'm hearing this for the first time. Okay.
I know, and I'm going to I'm going to go. Please ask me whatever you
Yeah,
have.
this
Yeah.
is because a lot of us have insurance, especially people who have homes,
Mhm.
and it's like they just get what the mortgage company gives them.
That's called forced place coverage,
Uh-oh.
and that's very expensive.
Okay.
And if you go with forced place coverage, they're only insuring your building. They're not insuring your contents or the property that you have inside. You want to get your own insurance.
Okay.
Don't go with the forced place coverage unless you have to, because it ultimately ends up being very, very expensive. And it's not necessary. It's worth a phone call to an insurance agent to get coverage, or you can do it online now. I saw that yesterday when I was preparing to come to see you.
Okay.
You could do a lot of this online.
But it's for most people who have this, I'm going from experience with me.
Yeah.
It was so much easier just for the mortgage company to say, well, we're going to pay your insurance.
Oh, that's different.
Okay.
Okay, we're talking at cross purposes.
Okay.
The mortgage company can certainly pay your insurance, and
Okay.
that's fine, but you have to get it first.
Oh, okay.
Because if you do not have coverage, the mortgage company, every year you have to show your mortgage company
Okay.
that you've got coverage.
Okay.
But if you don't, they will put forced place coverage on the policy
Okay.
just to protect their interest.
Their interest. Okay.
Not yours.
Okay.
That's something different. It's so much easier to have the mortgage company or the mortgage company pay out of an escrow account. But again, they're taking your money and putting it in an escrow account, but
to pay off the
to
insurance.
pay the insurance.
And see, that's what I was saying. It was so much easier for me to just say, mortgage company, they're going to choose the insurance company. They're going to be the ones who know how to take care of it. So I'm just going to let them choose my insurance company and they'll take it out. It was easier. I was lazy.
Well, no, you're not lazy. It's easier. And we're all very, very busy, and we want to do what's easiest. At least I do.
Okay.
But sometimes it's worth, for instance, I pay my own insurance just
Okay.
because I don't want the insurance company or the mortgage company keeping my money for a year,
Oh, okay.
and they have certain rules about how much money they have to keep in these escrow
Escrow
accounts.
accounts, right.
So if you pay your own, you don't have to deal with an escrow account. Now, some mortgage companies insist upon
Okay.
doing it out of an escrow account. It
Okay.
just depends, but it's cheaper to do it yourself.
Oh, wow. See, I'm learning something. Okay. So this is not the forced insurance, but
No.
this is with, but so we make sure that the insurance policies that we got on our houses are covering our interests.
Right, which includes more than the mortgage company's
Okay.
interest. It includes your your contents, your
Okay.
personal property. There are
Okay.
two types of coverage. There's when you get a declaration sheet in the mail, which is that part most people read, and it says coverage A,
Okay.
dwelling.
Okay.
That's the amount of coverage you have on your dwelling,
Okay.
um, including I mean, that includes whatever interest the mortgage company may have. And then there's coverage B is additional structures like a garage.
Okay.
Coverage C is your personal property.
Okay.
And you want to insure your personal property because, God forbid, there's a fire or something like that. You just want to make sure that you can replace that. There's also coverage for additional living expenses,
Okay.
which is very important because what that means is if you can't live in your home because of a fire or a water incident or whatever loss, which is covered under the terms of the policy, uh, the insurance company will pay for you to stay
Mhm.
somewhere else.
And that's the interesting thing because a lot of people don't look at that or even know that that's part of their insurance.
Right, and they need to know that because I don't think the insurance companies, some do, but the insurance company isn't going to say, "Hey, we're going to pay for you to stay, and we'll pay for your dogs to be boarded, and we'll pay for all this," because that's part of additional living expenses. Those are expenses you incur
Okay.
because you can't live in your home.
And this is awesome. Okay. Go back to this part about the full value of your house.
Okay,
Okay. So if you can't rebuild this home that you just got burnt out of, say,
right.
what happens?
Well, you get the actual cash value payment.
Okay.
And you don't have to, if your house is totally destroyed, you don't have to replace it on the same lot. For
Mm,
instance, you can, under Michigan law, case law, and Michigan statutes, because homeowners insurance and fire insurance is governed by statute, you can move somewhere else.
mm.
But the insurance only covers the dwelling and the contents. It does not cover the land.
Whoa. Okay. I'm learning. My mind is going.
Well,
Okay, because I've seen people who were unable to rebuild.
right.
Okay, they may have had the land, but they were unable to rebuild the home that they had before.
Right.
And
And that's why you need replacement cost coverage
okay,
or guaranteed replacement cost coverage. Or there's another type of policy called a repair cost policy. And those are for older homes because the older homes were built so much better than the homes are built now.
okay,
And they used real wood and they used plaster. And builders don't use those materials anymore because it's so expensive. So under a repair cost policy, you get you get like drywall instead of plaster, which
mm,
is okay because you can't replace the solid oak floors or you can get something that's not solid oak. So that's a repair cost policy. So you've got replacement cost policies, which are supposed to put you back in the condition you were before the loss and replace or make the repairs. Um, then you've got other types of policies that are less, but do provide some benefit.
benefits. Okay, this is something I want to make certain that all of our people understand that there are different policies, and we need to be aware of these different policies. You've got replacement, you've got
Repair,
repair, and we've got to make sure that
and you've got actual cash value policy.
cash value. See, and then we have to make certain too, and I'm revamping, okay? We got to make sure that the insurance company that we're with is not just on their side, but it's on that we've got somebody fighting for us.
Well, they don't.
Yeah.
Your lawyer will fight for you if you have a loss. Your public adjuster will fight for you if you have a loss.
Okay.
The insurance companies are there to make money. The agent, once there's a loss, is really out of the loop. The reason agency is important is if the agent makes a mistake and you don't have the coverage you thought you had.
Okay. So that behooves us to read that policy, right?
Well, read the policy or at least read the declaration sheet and ask, because under Michigan law as it stands now,
Okay.
agents are merely order takers.
Okay.
You have to tell them what you want. And if you don't tell them what you want and put it in writing or in an email, that's what I do, because I want to make sure that I have the coverage that I want as opposed to what they give you.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just not what you want or good enough.
And see, a lot of us only take what the person is giving us because we don't know what is available.
Right. Well, I know the state of Michigan Department of, it used to be the Insurance Commissioner, Insurance Bureau. They put out a lot of information regarding the different types of policies and what you can do. And before, most people just say renew, give me what I had before. Sometimes when you switch insurance companies, this is just off the top of my head, people say, give me what I had before, and that doesn't happen. And then you have a loss and the insurance is not what you thought you had. So you just have to be careful. And it's not, I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time. People don't read their policies. Lawyers spend years fighting over what policy language means. But you have to and you don't need a lawyer to buy insurance, but I would look at the state of Michigan information, the websites that they have.
Okay. I've got here the Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services. And I'm going to read this. It says, to ensure access to safe and secure insurance and financial services that are fundamental to the security of the Michigan residents. And so this is a company that maybe we need to kind of look into in order to find out what exactly we have access to protect ourselves. Am I right?
Well, it's the state of Michigan, and the state of Michigan, the insurance commissioner, or it's called DIFS. Yes, DIFS. They put out a lot of really good information pertaining to the different types of coverages that are available.
Okay.
I usually get involved when when there's a problem.
Okay.
And that's when you go to an attorney. But there are other things you need to do if you suffer a loss, which is a whole different ballgame than trying to get the right insurance.
Okay. Okay, because I want to make sure before we get to the point where we're covering a loss that we've got ourselves covered before we get to this young lady.
That's what I do, and I love being called a young lady. That's so nice. Thank you.
Because a lot of us don't have access, number one, to a lawyer who's as well versed in the things that you are.
Well, you don't need a lawyer. You just need to talk to your agent and make sure that you have the right amount of coverage and that your house is valued, or your home or your apartment, the contents are valued appropriately. You have to look to the differences in the premiums. I know different companies charge different premiums, but you have to get you don't want to be put in a situation where you're saving pennies, but then when it really matters, you don't have the dollars coming in which to continue living in your home. And that's the issue.
So not only are we having to be aware of the type of insurance, we've got to be very aware of the value of our home.
Right. The insurance company will put a replacement cost value on your home.
Okay.
And it's usually correct. If you don't agree with it, if you think it's too low, you talk to your agent and say, but most people will go with it. Nobody's going to say, I want more insurance.
Yeah.
But I do, because I want to make sure I have the correct insurance.
So you don't suggest that they go above whatever the assessed value is?
Assessed value is different.
Okay.
Replacement, they usually base it on replacement cost value.
Okay.
And to get the actual cash value, which is another term of art, they take its replacement cost less depreciation.
Okay. Oh my God. Replacement cost Less
Yeah, say
depreciation.
then that comes into effect with older homes because the replacement cost is so astronomically high.
Okay.
And if the house is 75 years old, they're going to depreciate it
Yes.
substantially, and then that would be your actual cash value. So, say you have a $300,000 home, it would cost $300,000 to replace your home.
Okay.
And you get actual cash value insurance, and there's a determination that the actual cash value is only 75,000. That's what you would get because that would be your policy limits in the event of a total loss, and you would be out a lot of money.
A lot of money. A lot of money.
So that's what you really need to pay attention to is the coverages that you have that are available and the amounts. And that's all on the declaration sheet, which is really what most people need to read, even though you're presumed to have read your entire policy.
Yes. We're going to learn a lot. We're learning a lot of terminology.
I'm
And
sorry.
but see, we need to know this. And see, that's why we're picking you today because
Okay.
we really need to know. A lot of us don't know anything about the insurances, especially.
Most people don't until they have a loss.
Yes. And like you say, oh, I didn't know that wasn't covered.
Correct.
And it's like, well, it's in the policy. And it's like, where?
Well, there's exclusions and there's exceptions and there's circumstances under which there will be no coverage or there will be questions about the coverage because of the situation, the fact pattern.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if anyone has ever had to deal with having to make a claim on an insurance. But this is when you need the lawyer, but
well, no, what you need is under the insurance policy, there are certain conditions you have to meet once you make a claim.
Okay.
And the insurance company will generally tell you what those conditions are, and they seem onerous to most insureds or policyholders.
Okay.
You have a duty to cooperate with their investigation of the claim, which may mean, first of all, they may ask you for what's called a sworn statement in proof of loss, which is a piece of paper where you put the value of your claim. And that's the point in time where you say, I need help. And you don't need help from a lawyer right away. You need help from there's a group of people called public insurance adjusters.
Okay.
And just as the insurance company will have their adjuster, I always recommend that the insured or the policyholder who has suffered a loss hire a public adjuster. The public adjusters are licensed by the state of Michigan, and they know how to put together your claim, and they help you put together your claim. You've got all this water damage, fire damaged stuff in your home. Do you want to go through each and every item and say, what's the replacement cost? What's the depreciated value? How old is it? That's why you hire a licensed public adjuster. And they usually work on a contingency.
Okay.
And they're only allowed to charge up to 10% of whatever the recovery is. And I think that they're a valuable tool once you have a significant loss.
Ooh. My mind. Okay. So if I've got a loss and I've got a public adjuster and this adjuster is working on my behalf.
Right.
Okay.
You've got somebody working on your behalf, just as the insurance company has an adjuster working on their behalf.
Okay.
And a lot of times the public adjuster will put together your contents inventory, will put together a building estimate, will prepare the sworn statement and proof of loss, which is a very important document, and have you sign it after you review it. And they'll negotiate with the insurance company.
Oh, you mean I don't have to talk to the insurance company?
You do not have to talk to the insurance. Well, you do have to talk to them if they want. Say you have a loss and they call you up. What happens frequently is you'll get an adjuster who will call you up and say, "Can I take a statement over the phone?" That's fine. You have to do it. You have to give it. But my recommendation is always record it.
Okay. Okay.
Because you never know what's going to come up in the future. And you also have an obligation under the terms of the policy to give what's called an examination under oath, which that's when you need a lawyer.
Okay. Okay. So it's like, so they can call me anytime and I still, no matter what, I have to tell them. So is it something that maybe I should have my public adjuster in on this conversation?
If they're allowed to be in on the conversation, it's generally talking about the facts and circumstances of the loss.
Okay.
They're not talking about the dollar values, which is
Okay.
really what the public adjuster is there for. So you can do it. Just make sure it's recorded, because there have been situations where I've had to sue. There's an examination under oath after a recorded statement. I ask the insurance company for a copy of the recorded statement so I can be brought up to date.
Okay.
And they say, no. I've gone to court, I've won it, and I've lost it. Some judges say, yeah, you get the recorded statement. Some judges say no. If they were telling the truth then, they'll tell the truth now. So
Oh my
that's why I
goodness.
suggest that they're recorded.
I have a problem, okay, because so many things happen. It's like, well, how do you remember dates? How do you remember these things that are important to the insurance company and the adjusters and
Well, if you don't know and you don't remember, that's okay to say that.
okay.
If you have it written down somewhere, you get back to that. You can give them the information later. You just have a duty to cooperate. You don't guess.
Okay.
You just tell them what you know in terms of the circumstances of the loss. But the recorded statement is generally the insurance or the insured's first real involvement with the investigation process. And as I said, you do have a duty to cooperate with their investigation.
Ugh. And I still can't call you yet.
Well, you could call me at any time. Absolutely. I would be happy to talk to you. I just don't want to take, your money if you don't need me.
Okay.
I would love to get involved. I have actually had clients come in and do a recorded statement in my office while I'm taping it or recording it on my phone, and the insurance company's recording it.
Oh, okay. That's an option. I'm glad because I wouldn't have known any of that. And okay, so thank you for that. But a lot of us are really having to work hard at this. When we make our claims, what happens then?
Well, when you make the claim, and under the Michigan law, once they receive actual proof as to the amount of the loss. Sorry, the language has changed. Once they receive proof as to the amount of the loss, they're required to pay you within 30 days. And
Okay.
oftentimes that's just how it works, that it happens and everything's great. A lot of times they will not pay you within 30 days. They will start what's called an investigation of the claim. If it's a suspicious fire, for instance.
Okay.
They'll do an origin and cause investigation. They will have somebody come out and see whether it's a accidental fire or an incendiary or arson. Now, you're still entitled to recover if you had nothing to do with the arson, but it becomes a little bit more complicated, and you certainly need a lawyer at that
They're
point.
not going to investigate me and what I did or didn't do in order to cause this claim.
Right.
This is something else.
It's a business, and they don't like to pay out claims.
Oh, believe me. We're going to stop right here because I want to make sure that what we're hearing, we gather in, because I'm going to invite you back again because we've got so many more things that we need to talk about, even about not just reading the policies, but how to go about getting it, and then your follow-up, what you actually do. And I want you to still tune in to the Total You when we have the attorney, Joe Davis, come back again to talk about the insurances. And we want to know what she knows because what? We're wise, we're knowledgeable, and we want to be whole in what we're walking through. We don't want to be ignorant of the things that are concerning us. All right. So we thank you for tuning in, and please, we're going to have you back.
Well, thank you so very much. It was
Again,
my pleasure.
Joe Davis, the attorney. Her name will be under the page. Amen.